Hello everyone, it's Keesje. Welcome back. So this is one of my new jelly plates I made in the last video. And I have a few prints I made on a jelly plate, just in case you don't know what jelly printing is. Basically, you add paint to the plate, add some texture to it or take away from it. Put your paper in it. Basically, you're making your own nice papers. And I will show you a few things we use to make this. Then it all makes more sense. So I'm using acrylic paints. I have all my paints standing in two boxes over here, easily accessible. I have a brayer here and I have some texture plates. Or shall I say texture makers. I have some cardboard where I glued some buttons on. And I'm going to show you a whole bunch. It's not necessary that I'm going to use them all. This is a texture plate I made myself. It's cardboard, double-sided tape on it, fun foam cut in shapes and then glued on here. And as you can see, I've used it already. It makes lovely prints. One with puzzles, another one with puzzles, smaller pieces. This is styrofoam, one of those bottoms from a certain box or something. I just pushed it back with a pen and erased this pattern you see here. One with smaller buttons. And I have a bunch of texture plates that I bought at the dollar store. And I used a pen to make the marks a little bit more distinct. And another one of those foam packaging. And this I got quite a while ago. I don't know if it's gonna work, but these have raised embossed patterns on it. And I have one more here that is, I think it used to be the bottom of a cake of some sort. And the other thing I have here is embossed cardstock glued onto foam core. Now I haven't tried this yet, so I'll be wanting to try that as well. The other thing I like to use is stencils. And I like to use some other things that make texture. This is from the dollar store. This used to be a placemat. Shelf liner. Some netting from some sort of packaging, like onions or oranges or something. Then we have bubble wrap. This makes awesome texture. And one more, and that's a regular grocery plastic bag. I'm going to put this away and then I will get started. So first I like to make backgrounds so that the white disappears. And I like to make dark backgrounds first, and I'm going to show you one. And I'm just grabbing some paints here and making a few dots of paint. And I'm using cheap acrylic paint. Nothing fancy, and it is more fluid, so it distributes easily. And I distribute the paint all over. And I have a big blob here. I hope to get rid of that by going over it again and again. And so this is about it. I have a old magazine over here that I wipe or roll out of excess paint. And what do you know? I don't have paper. Let me grab some paper. I'm using regular copy paper. And I'm going to place this on here. And I will use one extra paper to pick up the excess that is showing on the sides here. And this is not covered enough, so I will do another layer. My own homemade jelly plate behaves differently than the one I bought in the store. It has a different feel to it, but it worked. It works. I will stay in the same color range. I have the feeling that this plate asks more paint than the one from the store. Now the other thing is, it is bigger. It is 12 by 8. This was made in a baking pan that is 13 by 9. That is the top measurement. And the bottom measures a little less. It is 12 by 9. 12 by 8, sorry. So it fits the width of the length of a page, but not the width of a page. I think that was more than enough. Let me grab this one again and my pickup sheet. Okay, maybe I didn't rub hard enough. You can also use your brayer to really push the paper on the plate. Now we're having coverage. I'll make a few more backgrounds off camera and then I will add texture to it, which is way more fun. All right, round 2. The other thing that you can use as papers is a book that you tear apart. This was a lecture book and I just took some pages out and I put red on here. This one is not completely covered, but before I put the second layer on, I like to think about what I'm going to do. So this has a red background, so I want to use a lighter, maybe yellow orange. I like the combination of colors that are kind of close to each other. Now one paint versus the other. Full card is heavier than Craft Smart, so I need less. I can use less of the full card. And I did find out that this jelly plate likes a lot of paint. It is, I don't know if it dries up quicker than another, because I have printed on a store-bought plate and I would not run out of paint yet on the other one. So the texture I'm going to use first is bubble wrap. So I'm going to put my bubble wrap on here, press it in. Now basically what I'm doing is I'm transferring paint from the jelly plate to the bubble wrap. And I can put another piece of paper on here to grab the paint that was on the bubble wrap. And now I'm going to add this paper on top here. I basically align the edge with the paper with the edge of the gel plate. You gotta rub firmly to transfer whatever's on the plate to your paper. That was a lot of... I could have taken away more paint because now you can hardly see the red. Now there's still some residue here, and a book page is very nice to use it for this. I'm gonna press lightly and only add some more where I want some more, because it is nice to still see the letters and the text through it. So that was one. I'm going to use this as the background. I'm going to use light paints again. I'm going to use 2 textures this time. I do find you need a large area to play with, so I'm braying off excess paint on my magazine here on the side. First I'm going to use the bubble wrap again. I'm pressing this onto another sheet of print. That looks nice. See, that's looked nice, right? And I'm going to do it one more. No, let's try my texture plate. See how that works on top of this. And I need another page. I have another red one here that I will press this on. Oh, that's not going to work. Not as well as I thought. Well, let us see what happens. Lining up the edge. It doesn't do it justice. I'll try again. And I have a purple and a red one. And I am going to use orange. And probably some yellow in it. And if I go over it too often, I will actually take it off instead of spreading it. So I'm pressing the plate in the paint, lifting it up, and then transferring it to the purple one. And turning it around so that I have different patterns showing. And I will take this one and place this on top. It is not as defined as I hoped it was going to get. On the other hand, this one looks really nice. Here you can actually see the pattern and everything. So I don't know if it's my plate or I'm grabbing another piece of paper and see if that works. Can get some off on here. It is nice in its own right. Now I'll be using the stencil and I'm going to use light blue-green. Okay, place your stencil on it, place your paper on it, and take away what the stencil shows. That looks nice. I'll take this off and place this on. Now let's see what we got. Disappointed disappointed. I had hoped for a more defined print. I'm going to use this stencil. I need 2 papers for this method, so they're both kind of the same color. And I'm going to add some light blue-green. Plate. Okay, I'm going to put my stencil down and take one of the 2 papers. So that's number 1. But there's quite a bit left here that needs to be removed, so I'm using one of these. And lift it off. And place number 2 on here. Voila. So as you can see here, those 2 paints are thicker than the lighter blue. And that you can see that. So I would not want to use them together. I would use all the same paints to get a more equal result. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to use light pages for the background, and I'm using these colors for the second layer, and I'm going to see what my embossed cards will do to the jelly plate. Let's add some paint. And now I made sure that all the paints are the same quality. All right, let's see what it does. Yeah, kind of was afraid of that. And I don't think this one covers. Okay, I'm going to use one of my plates. See if that works better. I have another plate, so I'm going to use. I'm not so sure about this. I rub really lightly. I do like it. This is different. So these work. That's nice. I'm going to use these 2. A lighter yellow for the second layer. I'm going to use a plastic grocery bag for the next technique. Crumple it up and push it in and push it off. Push it in, take it off. Okay, let's see what we got. I like that. I made a bit of a mess here, but it's the end of the paint and big blobs came out. I had cleaned my plate thinking I was done, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to try one more time with the texture plates. Okay, I have this one. I'm going to wiggle it a little bit. There's a lot of paint on here, so I want to make sure it comes off. Okay, I'm going to do very lightly. Very subtly, it is there. Okay, for this one I will be using these paint chips, and we're doing a light color because those are dark chips. I had cleaned my plate already, thinking I was done, so we'll just do one more. First I'm adding bubble wrap. I will use some shelf liner, pressing that in, and I will place the paint chips on. It just doesn't hold 4, and I use this for cards, and I'll show you later how I do that. So now I'll show you the result of what I did. And the first one with bubble wrap. So when I pressed the bubble wrap on the plate, I took the bubble wrap off and I pushed this on the bubble wrap, which is a very nice print. Then this was on the plate and it still had too much paint on it. That's why it's so muddy, full of paint. Then I did my texture plate again and with the bubble wrap, so that was not a good idea. Still way too much paint on it. The third one was again with the texture plate. The print off was nice, but the jelly print itself was again still too much paint on it. Now, I'm not sure if it's my gel plate or am I too generous with the paint. And this was the third, this was the cleanup of that. Then I used the stencil, and again, taking out from the holes in the stencil is very nice. Still too much paint on the plate to see where the stencil was. Then I did the stencil again, and this time I did it right. I took it off twice, and this is the result for that. Now I'll show you 2 cards I made with a stencil, and I basically draw around each shape, either a black or a white pen, and cut out the size I want, and then add a few embellishments to make the card complete. And that's what I did with that. So this is done with the embossed cards which did not work, and then I added these texture plates, and that works. 2 prints. Too much paint. This is the plastic grocery bag. I pushed off the paint from the grocery bag on here, and then this was the one that went on the plate. I tried a texture plate again, and I did some, that's over here. I'll talk about this later. I did these 3 paint chips, and I show you what I did with in previous session paint chips, these ones. I made it into a card, and the paint chip is a little too long for the card, so I cut it off here. Then this part I stuck under the card so that I use the whole card. And I have some cheesecloth here, an image, and a border punch to make the card complete. I can put a sentiment over here if I want. I showed you how I made these cards. Then I have these 2 cards yet. I can also use a gel print as a background, add a few little details, and I could place the sentiments here, and then that card is also finished. And here, a very simple card again, just 2 of those coil hole strips, and I punched out some circles with my different circle punches, and I drew around with a black marker to have them stand out, and just glue them on my card like this. Very simple. It does not have to be difficult and intricate. Now this stack is made with a commercial gel plate. That's this one from Jelly Arts. It's an 8x10, and I really seem to like my texture plate that I made. I will show you how we can make one of those in a future video. I really like how this one turned out with all the brown and orange. And this one was done on wax paper. Now ideally this would have a colored background, but it doesn't. But I can just print on this side, then the color will see through to this side. This is a mop-up, very nice in its own right. And this one, just a mop-up a few times, and I didn't have to do any effort to get this beautiful texture. And I won't do anything to it. This is really nice. I like that. And another one with the bubble wrap. Well, I hope you liked this video and that it was useful to you. And I wouldn't mind if you leave some comments below. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!